This Valentine's Day, get a Heart Baker pizza from Papa Murphy's. You complete us. And we mean that literally. With Take and Bake, we prepare it, you make it yours. So make us yours today. Papa Murphy's. Change the way you pizza.
Here on the Monty Show, presented by our good friends at The Advocates, theadvocates.com. I think we do a pretty good job. You know, I mean, we're just a couple of hacks on YouTube.
Yeah.
But we've been telling you on the Pac-12 TV deal, there is division in the conference. We were told directly a couple of weeks ago, a month ago now, I guess it was. We went back and looked yesterday. I think it was January 6th.
Mm-hmm.
We told you Washington, Oregon, and the Arizona schools will not sign a grant of rights for a Tier 1 stream-only package.
Yeah.
They've said no. They don't want to do that. We've also told you that the conference needs to expand before they sign a new TV deal. Because right now, they're capped at $25 million per school per year for 7 years. That's $250 million a year.
Oh.
That's crazy money. We've also told you when the local, and I know, listen, Guy, we're just the hacks on YouTube. We don't know shit, right?
Yesterday,
or not. Excuse my French. We don't know nothing.
It's a family program.
Go back to procreating. My bad. Make a family.
So yesterday, it evolved from YouTube hacks to those guys on YouTube.
Yeah, that was awesome yesterday.
Yeah.
Thank you for everybody that was. This is how good it is. So apparently, one of the local gods, you know, the real people. They were saying that the guys on YouTube don't know what they're talking about. When you want jazz coverage, you come here. The guys on YouTube don't know anything. So we're just the guys on YouTube that everybody knew who you were talking about, and they were DMing us. Thank you for that. But it was funny that, you know, hey, I know the local guys have told you that the Pac-12's getting $50 million a year.
Oh, man, dude.
The Utah Homer station was like, oh, they're getting $50 million a year.
Yeah, $50 million. What's the problem?
You know, the hacks on YouTube don't know what they're talking about.
Congratulations, but that's bullshit.
We told you it's exactly half of that, $25 million a year.
Right.
For 7 years. That's $250 million a year. Now, I understand that I don't understand quantum physics or geometry. But I don't know how you get $50 million a year with 10 teams out of $250 million from your TV deal.
This case is empty.
Again, I'm not sure how to use the quadratic triangle equation and stuff.
Empty.
I'm just
the opposite of full.
Totally. I'm just a guy on YouTube, bro.
Yes.
But that's not $50 million a year. But we're dumb. We don't know what we're talking about. And apparently neither does Stuart Mandel at The Athletic. Pretty much quoted us chapter and verse.
Vexes me.
When he said 3 people with knowledge of the discussion said Commissioner George Kliavkoff. Notice he spelled Kliavkoff.
Yeah, someone's got to tell him the names wrong, dude.
It's C-O-C-K at the end there. Is struggling to find partners willing to pay close to what the league is seeking. Okay. That doesn't that doesn't mean we're right and they're wrong.
Right. We haven't gotten to that portion
yet. This next part does, though. 2 of those sources said Kliavkoff. Again, dude, you're at The Athletic. Can you not spell his name right?
Yeah.
Kliavkock. Kliavkoff overpromised his members on how many bidders there would be and what dollar amount they could command.
Better send those refunds.
A target north of $40 million per school. Now listen, those idiots on YouTube don't know what they're talking about. We're getting $50 million a school. $50 million per school. That's what we're getting.
Yeah, and you had people texting you Don was getting traded to the Knicks. Nice job. Nice.
A target north of $40 million per school, according to one league athletic director. Today, it's uncertain whether the Pac-12 will even be able to exceed the $31.6 million on average the Big 12 reportedly got. I told you, Mo. I told you. In which a 6-year extension with ESPN and Fox is reached last fall.
Damn.
We don't look at, and look, let me take the ticker off the screen. We don't have a deal because it hasn't been good. said the AD. So wait, now, you guys, I'm not so good at math and I don't read well. Let me get this right. One of the leading sources of journalistic integrity.
Who the f*** is that guy?
Rectally speaking and all.
Right.
Stuart Mandel is saying, so let me get this right. You don't have a TV deal. You don't have any value. So you're not able to get anywhere close to what the Big 12 was getting.
That's right, T.
You told your membership that you were getting a ton of money and a bunch of people wanted your rights. And we told you in August that Fox Sports pulled out altogether from being a Tier 1 partner. We told you that ESPN and Amazon were not going to negotiate against each other.
Hell no.
We told you that ESPN told the Pac-12, well, hey, you know what? Go with Amazon for Tier 1. That's great, bro. We'll take a couple of games. We'll put it on ESPN Plus. We'll put it on ESPN TV.
You know.
Hey, we appreciate just, being like a Tier 17 partner. Here's $20. $20 a year per school. I mean, let me just peel you off a $20 bill. Here
If you
go.
felt these balls,
Hey, Stanford, screw Stanford. You got a $5. Stanford's here. You got a $5 bill. Yeah. All right, $20 bill. Here you go, Utah. Well, they told us we were getting $50 million. No, hell no. All right,
that's out of the window.
Here's 25.
Yeah.
Go away.
Let's start small here, kid. Come on. I mean, this is incredible. Oh, careful. You're going to dislocate your arm.
AC joint injury. I'm going
I
to be out.
broke my back.
All right, I feel better now.
Spinal.
James Knight says still here. Oh, my God.
Yeah, we're just here to provide you guys entertainment.
Tanner
That's all it
says,
is.
all right, I'm going to step out. Someone tell me when their told you so rant is over.
Okay, great, dude. Great. Yep.
Feels good, dude. It is what it is. Gabriel says 40 million. Holy man, this guy is insanely desperate.
Yes.
So when we saw this yesterday, of course, I went back and talked to some folks. The situation's unchanged. And what I will say about the Pac-12 TV deal is plain and simply put, there is no Pac-12 TV deal. They're in a position now where the Pac-12 is going to struggle to get, I think $30 million is lofty.
This is a code 10 abort.
Because from what I understand, and I think we told you this back in August, Fox is not offering anything of significance. They are happy to be the third guy. Happy to be. Because they've got all this Big Ten inventory. They're not interested in Pac-12 After Dark because they have Big Ten After Dark.
Right.
ESPN, very simply put, is really in the catbird seat here. They have no reason to overspend. Neither does Amazon. Because the truth of the matter is it was explained to me, the Pac-12 has zero leverage. And here's the bigger issue. They are divided as a conference. I was told yesterday again that there is a significant divide in the conference, even about expansion now. Put the TV deal aside and whether or not Tier 1 can be on stream. There's a pretty healthy chunk of this conference that doesn't believe SMU is a fit in the conference and does not believe that SMU brings value. So this whole SMU situation, this is a problem. This situation at San Diego State is also a problem because San Diego State has options. I was told point blank yesterday, the Big 12 has made a verbal offer to San Diego State to join the conference. San Diego State has put them off. But the problem is, that's great. San Diego State, I think, if they had their druthers, would be in the Pac-12. But what does the Pac-12 bring that the Big 12 does not? There's nothing there for the Pac-12. Here's the other problem. Gonzaga has told the Pac-12 they're not ready to join that conference at this time.
Gonzaga.
The Pac-12 has offered Gonzaga to join as a basketball-only member, and Gonzaga has said no, not now. And I think that's the issue for the Pac-12. It's not that you can't get a TV deal. I think you're going to have trouble expanding because you are today hoping that a school like I was told yesterday, Boise State is their next logical target.
Dude.
You're hoping that a Boise State is going to say yes
No.
to the Pac-12. And here's the other thing. If If you get San Diego State, that's a really important get. But how many of your members are going to sign a grant of rights with San Diego State attached if you can't get Gonzaga, Boise, or SMU? And SMU turns off half the conference. So you're really down to Boise and San Diego State. That's why you need, if I'm Brett Yourmark in the Big 12, I am aggressively pursuing Gonzaga basketball to join my conference.
Yeah.
Gonzaga.
Because, again, and I know it pisses Tanner off, I'll just go back to what I've been saying. Gonzaga is just as much of a death knell as San Diego State is for the Pac-12. If they lose either one of those, I just don't see a path to viability. And by the way, I will also go back to the USC story here real quick, because it was again explained to me yesterday. USC is why the Pac-12 is where they are. It's not that USC left for the Big Ten. It's that USC torpedoed expansion when Houston was still available, because that's who the people in the Pac-12 really wanted. They wanted Houston. USC was already ready to put pen to paper with the Big Ten. And do you guys remember the story? There was a meeting held, I think 18 months ago now, whenever it was. USC and UCLA are in that meeting about, hey, how do we want to move forward as a conference?
Yeah.
Why don't we talk about expanding? USC said we do not believe expansion's the right time now. Now is not the time to expand. No, we do not want to expand. End of conversation. And why didn't USC want to expand the Pac-12? Well, because they were out the door. They were going to the Big Ten. They had a verbal agreement in place. They were quite literally waiting for the contracts and the agreements to come over. So they said no. And this is what I'm being told by sources in the middle of the situation. Hey, they said no because they were going to the Big Ten. That's a huge problem, because you could have had Houston. You still, and in my opinion, the other school that I think for a moment was available, I think Texas Tech was available. And if you could have added Texas Tech and Houston, dude.
Yep.
Now you're playing in a different league.
Yeah.
But now you're not going to get any of them, and you are really in a situation where SMU has indicated they would like to join the Pac-12, and you've got, from some estimates, 7 out of 10 schools in the Pac-10 remaining, that 7 of the 10 remaining schools in the conference saying no to SMU. I mean, dude, I don't know where you go, because, again, you're just blowing your feet off, right? You are just taking a 12 gauge and blowing your feet off, because you have San Diego State, right? Well, you have San Diego State, and I think only George Kliavkoff could make this happen.
He's a brilliant guy.
Let's say San Diego State says yes. Okay, now what? San Diego State's in. Okay, now what? Because they're not enough on their own.
Yeah.
They're not. Gonzaga has said no. And again, sources have told me the Pac-12 has verbally offered San Diego State and Gonzaga. So you go to Gonzaga and you say, join us as a basketball-only program. It's going to be good. They're like, nah, not right now. Not right now.
Program.
Look, Joe, I got to go cut the grass, bro. Not right now. I don't want to buy a car warranty from you, George. That's where you are. That's the level to which the Pac-12 has sunk. They believe they have San Diego State. You're out trying to get SMU, and the conference says no. You're out trying to get Gonzaga, and they say no. Does Fresno State fix the problem here? They don't. They don't. Does Boise State fix the problem?
No.
Not for $30 million a year per school. They don't. You're in trouble. You are, and again, I will say, and you can tell me I'm being a doomsday guy.
Right.
You are not looking down the road at extinction. You're there already.
Yeah.
You are literally on the edge, and you're like, dude, that's extinction.
Yeah.
And it's staring you in the face. Your next step is over the cliff.
Yep.
And I don't know how you fix it.
Well, and this is why that whole Mark Harlan thing out of Utah, that tweet that said we're not leaving, is just so shocking. I mean, you look at a situation like this and everything that he just said, and it paints a pretty clear picture. I mean, you just don't have viability moving forward. You just simply don't. And I don't know, I don't know who's going to be the first, major player in the pack to get on board with the idea that this conference isn't surviving. Because that's the other side of this. What happens if Oregon and Washington go to the Big Ten? Then what? Well, then you're for sure done, right? Like, you don't have the bleeding's got to stop in the conference. Like, you don't have the option to have these squads just leaving your conference left and right. And that's why I say, I know everyone is giving us heat, and everyone said that we're wrong and we're stupid and we don't know what we're talking about. But it's very clear what's happening here. They are being bled out. They are being suffocated. Whatever word you want to use.
Boy, blood out.
Like, you're laying here dying.
Yeah, you are.
And you there's really quite literally nothing that you can do about it. Because think about this. What's it going to take? Well, it's going to take multiple people saying, yes, we want to help the Pac. Yes, we want to get in on Pac-12 business. And that's the other problem. To me, that's always been the core issue. Yeah. Like, set the football aside, set, the basketball aside, set all the results aside. The business of the Pac-12, the office working, the paperwork, the money flow, that's the problem. That's why, I get beat over the head all the time, especially Greg Hawkins, big believer in the educational side of this conversation. Well, everyone cares about education and it's a bigger deal. And what I'm here to say is not that that's untrue. People do care. It does matter.
Yes.
But what I'm saying is that money matters more than anything, right? There is no education without money. There is no anything. There is no Monty Show studio without bread, without money, without coin, right? There's not.
And the interesting thing is, Brett Yourmark's just chilling.
Yeah.
He has to do nothing.
Yep.
Because what I think the thing that he's done so well is he has not overreached. He has not talked. He has not bloviated. And what is all we've gotten from George Kliavkoff? Bloviation, over-talking, and over-promising.
Back in the envelope calculations.
And Brett Yormark has just sat here and watched and waited and plotted, and he's had conversations. He's talked to Gonzaga. I'm told that Gonzaga has been non-committal. But Gonzaga's going to make a move.
Yeah.
Gonzaga's going to make a move. And I think the biggest issue here is you're looking at an economic climate that does not play to overpayment.
Yeah.
You're looking at a situation and the interesting thing is, at both of these companies, Amazon and Disney, who owns ESPN, by the way, Amazon and Disney both have had significant layoffs. Bob Iger, the once again CEO at Disney yesterday, announced I think a 3% reduction in workforce. None of that impacts these situations. What's going on at Amazon and their layoffs, none of that impacts this situation. But what does it do? Well, naturally, if you're a decision maker at Amazon, you're like, well, the company just went through a significant layoff, which is unheard of. Mm-hmm. Our stock price is down. Even though it's recovering nicely, our stock price is down. We're going to be conservative here. We're not going to overspend to make a splash acquisition. So they're not going to pay. And if you're at ESPN, you don't need, let's be honest, you don't need the Pac-12.
Yeah.
You want the Pac-12.
Yeah.
You want ESPN Plus, ESPN app, ESPN TV. You want that because it's Saturday at midnight Eastern. You'd like to have a football program on. But if you don't, okay, we've got game day, we've got college game day wrap up, we've got all this stuff on a Saturday night. But you'd like to have a football game on your network. Mm-hmm. You'd like to have it on the app. Absolutely. But you're not going to overpay for that. And the funny part of this is, I'm told that ESPN has offered the Pac-12 $10 million. $10 million bucks.
I thought you said $10 million bucks.
They're offering, I was told yesterday directly that ESPN is in a tier 2 position, has offered the Pac-12 $10 million per school per year, $100 million a year. And ESPN their preference would be 5 years, not 7. So you're quite literally at $500 million.
Yeah.
For your tier 2 rights. Like that's
a problem, bro.
That's crazy to me. That's over a 5-year period.
Yeah.
That's all your tier 2 rights are worth over a 5-year period? Guy, that's less than what the Big Ten's making per year.
Yeah.
That's where you are. Because again, you're only at 10 schools today. ESPN's like, we'll pay you $10 million per school per year for your tier 2 rights, probably your third best game of the day.
Yeah.
We'll pay $100 million a year for that. And we get a game on the app. We get a game on the TV. And I don't know why you would pay more than that, because you don't need it.
Yeah.
The problem for the Pac-12 is ESPN's not bucking to be the number one. ESPN and ABC are not bucking to be tier 1 partners. I think ESPN isn't the behemoth it is because they're dumb.
Right.
I think ESPN has handled this perfectly. I think they have said, hey, we know who you are. You don't have leverage. We don't need it per se, because they've got the SEC.
Yeah.
Don't forget that. They've got the Big 12. Don't forget that. They don't need it.
Yeah.
They've got ACC. They don't need it. They want it, I think. At their price, they want it.
Yeah.
They don't need it.
But hasn't that been the problem for the Pac the whole time? Right? Like the whole concept of hey, there's not like the issue is that the Pac has never been the conference that people are like, hey, we have to have the Pac-12 on our TV.
But I also think, and by the way, all of our college football talk and NFL talk on this program is brought to you by our good friends at Barbecue Pit Stop, bbqpitstop.com. You can shop online no matter where you listen to the showgrum.
The showgrum.
You can get Barbecue Pit Stop online. And again, when you hear Barbecue Pit Stop, you think best barbecue equipment. When you hear Barbecue Pit Stop, oh man, spices, rubs, tongs, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Wing racks,
Racks.
Smoker covers, like
Mats.
whatever you need. Smoker pellets, anything you need, bbqpitstop.com. Or go into any of their 5 Utah locations. Great to hear. They have a brand new location in St. George opening up here. That's super exciting. Of course, we love you in the GZ. So from Logan, Layton, Lehigh, St. George, or our good friends in Murray across the street from the mall on State Street, you're getting the best guys. Like, it's amazing. On their Instagram and on their YouTube channel at Barbecue Pit Stop, they give you all kinds of how-to on. Yesterday was National Pizza Day.
Yeah.
They did a video on how to smoke pizza. You're getting a high level of service, because then you see that video, you go in and see Clinton and Lehigh's my guy. You go in and see Clinton and Lehigh, and you can be like, hey, man, like the day of the BYU Oregon game, we had that big watch party there.
Yeah.
He literally taught us how to spice and let that spice rest on those wings before you cook them.
Here's the deal. I'm the best there is.
You don't want to put them right in. Here's why. This is how. Okay, cool. It's changed the way I eat wings.
Yes.
My all drums and ranch fantasies are amazing now.
Yes.
Because I now understand how to properly use asado seasoning. How to use wing dust. How to use wing dust on your cauliflower wings.
Yeah.
It's amazing. They have a cauliflower wing dust that is just creme de la creme, baby. That's why you shop at BBQ Pit Stop, bbqpitstop.com. One other thing I want to get to before we get to your comments here, as we talk Pac-12 TV, what should the Big 12 be doing here? Because somebody I know lost their ever-loving mind last night. Oh, my God, did you see? Oh, my God, Texas and Oklahoma, they're leaving.
Yep.
Texas and Oklahoma have agreed, primarily with Fox, they had to agree, to leave the Big 12 early and head to the SEC.
Yeah.
And while you were going, oh my God, I was like, this has no impact on anything the Big 12 is doing. Although I may have been corrected when I was told what this does is this allows you to be a little more aggressive. This was an important move for the Big 12 to have Texas and Oklahoma leave early, because now you can really do anything that you want to do, right? You can stay at 14 teams. You can add 2 more and go to 16. You can add 4 more and go to 18. The world's really kind of your oyster.
Yeah.
It's up to you. But now what you do know is if you get P5 schools, I don't know, from maybe a dying conference, Fox and ESPN are going to pay you for those schools. So I thought that was, I don't know that I would describe Oklahoma and Texas leaving a year early as game changing. I don't know that I would describe it that way, but I think it is, because I think Brett Yormark and the rest of the presidents have already ostracized Oklahoma and Texas. They're over here on their own little island, like they're not part of major conversations. Like, hey, you're over here. They knew this was coming.
Right.
And I think to move them along sooner is better for the conference. But at a critical moment like this, it also gives you vision and maneuverability.
Yeah.
I think that's what the significance of this move is.
I agree. I don't think it's about just the concept that Texas and Oklahoma are leaving early, like a year early. I don't think it's just about that. I think one, first and foremost, it brings stability to the conference. You've got that issue settled. You can move on from just that whole conversation and narrative and just, issue, if you want to call it that. It just lets you move on from that sooner, which I think in business, generally speaking, is always a good move. But then secondarily, when I saw that come out, I was like, oh, okay. So Brett knows that this is taken care of. So now Brett's going to get on the phone, and Brett's going to start calling around to people like San Diego State, or maybe, whatever the other opportunities of schools would be. You obviously, Oregon, Washington, San Diego State, SMU, and I'm sure there's plenty more, Gonzaga, whatever. All these other schools that might be interested in joining the conference. But what I'm telling you is that this is a power play. It puts Brett Yormark in a position to go hunting. And to me, when you set a guy loose like Brett Yormark, who's already shown us he's really savvy business guy, that's a dangerous game. That to me, and I really am trying to be measured in how I kind of characterize this, but this could be the beginning of the end. I mean, we just said, hey, the Pac is on the edge of the cliff here. And if you think about, okay, if Texas and Oklahoma hadn't left early, that buys the Pac some time. That buys the Pac some time before they really got to start getting antsy about, other schools leaving or really, more importantly, expansion opportunities drying up because Brett Yormark has come in and eaten their dinner.
What do you think eventually? And get in the comments on this one. What do you think eventually happens here? Because my feeling is, I don't think the Pac ever folds. I still, to this day, maintain and agree with the first thing, I think one of the first things we ever heard on this story, way back when we were still in your basement.
Right.
Because we were just hacks on YouTube. Yes, Tanner, I'm still going. I think a merger between the two conferences is eventually the outcome here. In one way or another, whether it is a hostile takeover or whether it is a Kliavkoff lays down his sword thing, I don't know. But you can't tell me that the Pac-12 survives as we know it today. They're eliminating the Pac-12 networks. I mean, they've already essentially closed that building down. They're moving much more to a production model.
Mm-hmm.
I don't see them. I don't see them thriving and surviving. I really don't. I think this conference. And at some point, we have to start talking about the business savvy of the presidents that currently construct the Pac-10, Pac-12.
Yeah.
Because I just don't get it. How you so arrogantly decided that San Diego State wasn't good enough until you needed them is really foolish. And
we've seen this before.
We have with BYU. Absolutely, we have. But I sit here and I ask myself, what is it that you're going to do now to bring San Diego State into this conference? Do you really think San Diego State's going to take half of a burrito and be happy with that? There's not a chance in the world.
Way.
But do you really think Oregon and Washington are going to take the same amount of money San Diego State's getting? I mean, you're screwed, dude.
Yes.
You have, and this goes back to what we also reported a month ago. George Kliavkoff essentially got a vote of no confidence when he went to them and said, hey, here we go. This is our deal. And they said, no, it's not. He got a vote of no confidence.
Is that a real question?
I mean, they essentially walked up to him and say, "Hey, George, let me just reach under there and grab those balls. All right, put them in a jar over here on the counter."
If you felt these balls,
that's what they did to him. They clipped him, dude.
Yeah.
I don't see how you survive this. Ultimately, what I think happens, if I had to guess, I think you're going to see a merger in one form or another. There's going to be a bunch of teams from the Pac-10 and a bunch of teams from the Big 12 that get together to form whatever the hell kind of conference it's going to be.
Yeah, I mean, and I think the order with which that happens is Oregon and Washington go to the Big 10, the best of the rest go to the Big 12, and then give it another decade, give it another 20 years, and then we get, a merger where you're getting 20, 25 team conferences.
We shall see. Fat Jesus, good morning, sir. Pac-12 will play their games on the state fair circuit.
Well,
all right, we're going to Listen Here.
having fun is the name of the game.
Listen here, Oregon Ducks. We're headed down to Cal Poly Pomona. We're going to have to take them on. Now, this is our new coach, Ken Williams. He's going to teach you how to ride these steers over here.
It is if I say it is.
Before we play our conference of championship level pickleball, we're going to have to beat them in steer rustling.
yeah.
The state fair circuit. I love it. Let's see. Starter 179 says Pac-10 could have got Texas Tech and Oklahoma State.
Maybe.
They only needed Houston. And they turned their nose at Houston and said, nah, we're not going to do that. Nah, we're USC. No, we're not going to. While she's signing the contract with the Big Ten, you guys, here in the Pac-12, I don't think we should expand. Call me in a month, though. We'll revisit this.
He broke up with you over text message?
Unbelievable. Brett Burnett says Comedy Central better than Pac-12 Network.
Exactly.
Good chance. Stephen Smith gives us a $10 tip. Appreciate you, Stephen. What does this news tell you about the Pac-12, where the conference stands overall? And I believe the Pac-12 dies because of all the stupid moves they made since USC and UCLA left. They haven't made any moves.
Well, yeah, and that's the thing. The lack of the moves is what's really fascinating. And then this arrogance piece that you talk about is something that we've talked about at length. I mean, I think the arrogance piece is what makes it so that teams like Texas Tech don't want to come to your conference. I mean, it's just so obvious that that's killing you, man.
Yeah, and again, they spent so much time and money trying to keep UCLA from leaving that, it crippled them. And again, I could go over it. Less of me, more of you. Jeremy Severe, the Mountain West and the Big 10 and the Big 12 will swallow up those teams. I think there's a real chance of that. I think the Mountain West, again, I know I'm crazy. I'm just the idiot on YouTube.
Yeah, you're an idiot.
And I know that Tanner's going to lose his mind when I say this. This whole Utah Tech conference thing, that was not some little deal. And I will again go down and say Utah Tech is the sleeping giant in this state. Because if you give them the proper exposure and the proper money and the proper leadership,
you water that plant,
they will dominate the southern half of this state. And I know. Oh, it's BYU. No, this is Pac-12.
We built this program on NIL.
We can read that billboard. It says Pac-12 country. We get it. It's BYU and Utah.
Yeah.
The southern half of this state is ready to be taken over. And I'm telling you, Utah Tech is going to do it. And you can tell me again, Tanner, I'm an idiot. I don't know what I'm talking about. We get it.
Yeah.
We get it. They have the money. They have the facilities. And now they are out hunting for exposure. That's what this new little football, if you guys didn't hear about this, they did this new little conference thing over here where nobody was watching.
What are you talking about, man?
Right? The Mohicans and the Cowboys and their last Rebels and they're just over here doing their little football conference new thing.
Just take it nice and easy, okay? Just relax.
Just remember that. Tanner says, Mont, are you really going to die on this hilarious Utah Tech as a sleeping giant argument?
Yes.
Yeah, because you can't tell me they're not. You can't tell me they're not. They already have a high level of achievement in athletics for where they are. They took Utah, or they took BYU to the second half, dude.
Yeah.
It's not like you rolled in there and Wyoming'd them.
Yeah.
They took you to the second half. They're already getting decent levels of recruits. If they get more money and more exposure, what's going to happen when Utah Tech, when that happens? Are they going to be where Weber State is? Potentially. But who knows? All I'm saying is the smaller conferences in this country are not going to be weak forever. And I think if we learned anything from Deion Sanders, if you get the right money and the right leadership, you can win football games.
Yes. It's just the reality, dude.
I'm just some moron over here.
Yeah,
and
you need to really stop saying dumb things about dumb things.
You idiot. Jeremy Severe says the Mountain West and the Big Ten and the Big 12 will swallow up teams. Tyler P. says, I sure wish they would get a deal done so we can stop hearing about it constantly. It does wear me out. But again, I wear you guys out by telling you how right we always are. Brett Burnett says that's the problem, Jeremy, is they will get even less money after this explodes. I don't disagree.
It's not the best situation, and we all know that.
And this goes back to the economic climate in this country. Because now the SEC's under contract, the Big Ten's under contract, the Big 12's under contract.
Yes.
How much money do you think there is to go around?
It's no coincidence. You're the only one not under contract.
And by the way, it'd be nice if you won a national championship in football.
Damn.
I mean, the Pac-10 has not won anything. This is the problem with Utah. Utah has been good enough to win the Pac-10, the Pac-12 2 years in a row. I'm going to stumble on that forever. They've been good enough to win back-to-back Pac-12 championships. Yeah. They've been good enough to lose in the Rose Bowl 2 years in a row.
Yeah.
You need Utah, because I do think that, again, the best football program remaining in the Pac-10 is Utah. It's not Oregon. It's Utah. Utah needs to take that next step forward. And it'd be nice if they got in, if now with an expanded college football playoff coming, it'd be great if Utah got in and won a national championship. That'd be splendid.
Yeah.
That'd be splendid. Because they're ready to do something big. They just haven't done it yet. And maybe they won't. I don't know.
Yeah.
But it'd be nice if somebody from the Pac-10 did something.
And everyone else, bro.
It is. Because I'm still the guy that says, hey, by the way, Big Ten still has like half a football team.
Yeah.
No, I'm not going to make Waterboy jokes. Eric and Raleigh, George Kliavkoff may ask himself, quote, how did I kill my conference? And he may ask himself, quote, where did all my teams go? And he may ask himself, will I ever work again? And he may tell himself, this is all my fault. It is not all his fault. I don't think he was a dead man walking the minute he hit the door.
Yeah.
Frankly, Tanner says, in a way, Brett Yourmark is like the Joker. He shows the schemers how pathetic their attempts to control things really are.
Yeah, dude. I mean, I think that if you're
schemers,
I don't think George Kliavkoff understands just how damn good Brett is at his job. Well, and I think I agree that this is a lot about the arrogance of this conference. Yes. I would agree with that. I would agree with that a hundo P. Yes. I think this is, and the two people here, the two entities that have handled themselves really well are Brett Yormark in the Big 12. And I've heard repeatedly that San Diego State has just chilled. They've taken the phone calls. They've taken the meetings. They've entertained George Kliavkoff. But they have not said yes. They have not said no. They have said, okay.
Schemers trying to control their little worlds.
Okay. And I'm telling you that according to my sources, Gonzaga told Brett Yormark, who verbally offered them a place in the conference, nah, not right now. Not right now. So why hasn't Brett Yormark done anything? Because he doesn't have to. Yeah. He can just wait and watch George whittle his fingers away trying to do something or nothing.
Doesn't make you feel responsible.
Eric and Rowley says, Brett Yourmark just has to sit by and watch Kliavkoff burn the world down. Yes. Truth. Yes. Gabriel, Brett Yourmark is a genius, and it's crazy how he turned potential trash to major treasure. Every time he talks about the Pac-10, he always has a major smirk on his face. Yes. You ain't wrong, dude. You ain't wrong. You ain't wrong. Brady Cook, a member of the program. Good to see you, Brady. Pac-12 is a joke. They have no direction. Totally agree. Yep. Jason, Utah Tech, USU. Can't call them Dixie State anymore.
Yeah.
And Morris says Utah Tech already getting many Southern Nevada and California recruits. No, they're not. Just ask Tanner Plummer. Utah Tech sucks.
Well, everybody sucks. I mean,
You know. Brett Burnett says just not enough money to split whether Pac adds or takes away. They got beat by other conferences to the real money.
Facts.
But you guys, like the Big 12 was dumb to come to conference or to come to market early. And
Well, we're the conference of champions.
yeah, we've got Bill Walton smoking ayahuasca on the set over here.
Correctamundo.
Smoke it, you drink it.
Right.
Anyway, we've got Bill Walton smoking ayahuasca on the set over here, man.
Wonder if him and Aaron hang out.
I mean, have you seen how well we swim? Have you been to a Pac? I don't want to hear you talk about the Conference of Champions. You haven't even, bro, do you even watch Pac-12 swimming?
Fucking A.
I don't watch swimming. I watch water polo, though.
Duh. Roger Sales, who's a member of the program, says, what the Pac-12 media day before the season? George K. says the teams have to have same culture like a dozen times. Code word for woke campuses. Wow. Should we go to Pac-12 media day this year? You hate going to Pac-12 media day.
What does it get? The only thing it gets for the channel is interviews. This is what I say about Radio Row for the Super Bowl. Everyone says, oh my God, it's Radio Row. But what do you give the listener? What do you give the consumer? Interview. Like, okay, great.
So we usually watch the Jim Rome program.
Pisses me off.
After the show, while we're doing our post-production, we're shooting shorts, we're editing videos. Well, I'm the talent. He does, you know. And I say, hey, can you flip on Jim Rome? No, he's at the Super Bowl. I don't want to see him talking to nobodies. Because you do wind up getting the guy who's like, all right, here's Jimmy Smith. He's here to talk about Peachy Dan's Chihuahua sauce.
Because it's garbage.
And then listening to Romy try to do his patented opens for interviews, which admittedly, I like his opens to interviews where he's running down the guy's resume and everything he's done. I love that. But it's a little tougher when it's Buddy from accounting and not, you know, some superstar athlete.
Here's Stan Jones. He wants to talk to you about Billy Joe's beefsteak sticks.
My next guest has 3 kids. He, they're 2, 5, and 7. He has been working his way up the food chain at his corporate company for 10 years.
He's got a bit of a boiler hanging off the front of his abdomen.
He won Employee of the Month the same month that he got written up for stapling someone else's finger.
Cue the plaque that says Employee of the Month.
You know.
Yeah, I agree.
Should we go to Pac-12
So
Media
you
Day?
hate Super Bowl week?
Yeah, I hate Super Bowl week.
Okay.
I don't understand the point. What so let me get this right. We're going to shut down Old Town Scottsdale when the Super Bowl's not even in Scottsdale. It's not even in the city limits,
It's an
bro.
hour away.
Like, what are we doing? What are we doing?
It's an hour away. Do you guys know that the Arizona Cardinals, you may not know this, the Arizona Cardinals play in Glendale. Which is basically... it's not Brigham, but it's...
Logan.
No, it's not Logan. You think it's Logan?
Yeah, I think it's that far. Yeah.
Okay. I was going to say like North Ogden.
Okay, North Ogden. Sure. That's fine.
It's up there, dude. It is. And it's like having ESPN's TV set in downtown Salt Lake when the Super Bowl is being played at Utah State.
Yeah.
Like it's not close.
So my point just is not, I love the Super Bowl and I'm looking forward to watching it. I'm looking forward to it. Like, we're going to have a great time. But I don't love this whole thing about like Radio Row and like, you know, ESPN having first take set in the middle of the street. Like, dude, relax.
What if they get hit by a car? The street's closed. Okay, I'll move on. Tanner says, I'm with you, Jake. Super Bowl week media row is a joke. Neville93, good morning, Neville. Hope the kids are well. Quick question. I hope you can read this. I'm just really confused about what we're going to do with Russell Westbrook. Give me 13 minutes, and we'll talk about that.
Yeah.
Eric and Raleigh says, same as Super Bowl media glad-handing week in San Francisco with the game in Santa Clara.
Exactly. Precisely.
Exactly, Eric. You're exactly right.
Precisely.
Because where the 49ers play is actually San Jose is what you would know it as, but it's South Bay. And I mean, it's like an hour south. Like it's hard to get to. Santa Clara is so difficult to get to because it's just out there,
bro.
Like
Full
it's
send,
far.
Billy. Full send.
That was one of the worst parts of my gig in San Francisco was having to drive because the 49ers Levi Stadium, their practice facility is right next door. So you have to go there every day to, it's such a pain.
Yeah.
Greg Romano says, I like the thought of the Big 12 until I realized they've invited those 4 G5 schools. No thanks.
Why?
So Houston was in demand. BYU's not a G5 school. Cincinnati was in the college football playoff wrongly, in my opinion. So what's wrong with Central Florida? You know. Roger Sales says, for sure you should go to Media Day. Ask the tough questions. I would love to see you ask George K. I'd love to interview George K. He's not been amenable at this point. Brent Burnett says, what's the real difference between G5 and P5? Not much with playoff expansion, and now it's about getting money. It is.
Yeah, it's money.
It is. It just
and
is.
It's educational facilities. It's educational curriculum.
Here at Stanford, in every one of our partners in the Conference of Champions, we have microscopes that are much more powerful than what they have in the Big 12. Okay? And look at the clarity. Can you see the clarity of our Petri dishes? Look how clean they are. You can see right through there. And our magnetometers, dude.
It's internal.
That's what I hate about the Pac-10. And again, I know nobody's going to believe me when I say this. I'm like an actual Pac-10 fan.
Yeah.
Like I'm a passionate Pac-10 football believer.
Yeah.
I hate that conference is like, hey, man, if you look at, look, here's a Pac-10 Petri dish. Here's a Big 12 spittoon. If you look at the Pac-10 Petri dish, it's crystal clear. And you can see, look at the writing on the side. We had it embossed with Conference of Champions. Look how beautiful that is. Now over here, you have this Big 12 spittoon. And we got it. And I should probably be honest. We lied to Comcast, so I will lie to you. I won't tell you that we got this off of Ken Williams' manure farm.
Butthole.
You know, Ken Williams, the steer farmer up there in Wyoming, he gave us this beautiful tin bucket. We're going to call it a Petri dish. And you notice that we took spray paint and put some calculations on the side of the spittoon with spray paint. And it says Big 12 Petri dish. Look how dirty it is. Look at all the dents on their Petri dish. Now that's what they do.
Yeah.
Right? Like, I hate you.
Yeah.